Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. So today you'll have an opportunity to hear from some current students in the Computer and Information Science, Mathematics, and Physics departments, as well as two recent graduates of our program and faculty representatives from each of those departments. At any time, if you have a question, you can use the chat function or you can raise your hand and we can address that issue. We might respond via chat or we may allow that opportunity to hear your question. But to start things off, we're going to begin with Miriam.
Hello, everyone. My name is Miriam. I am from Long Island, New York, but I currently live in Philadelphia right now. My major is Information Science and Technology, and I'm a senior. I juggle many roles here at Temple. I am a resident assistant. I'm a high school mentor in the Stepping Stone Scholars Program, and I am the Computer Information Science Department's student advocate and advisor. When thinking about going to college, I decided as a high school senior, I didn't want to be in New York anymore. I didn't want to be too far away, but I didn't want to be too close to home. Campus environment and location were both a significant considerations when applying to Temple. Temple has the best of both worlds. I get a city atmosphere, but I still get a campus college feel. I'm exposed to free food, live music, free prizes and games during events on campus. And it's a great way for students to get together and celebrate Temple's culture. Lastly, campus diversity was an important factor. I wanted to interact with people from diverse backgrounds and to make sure I felt comfortable on campus. So ultimately, I chose Temple because it provides endless amount of opportunities, which help students become the successful people that they aspire to be. Throughout my college career, I was able to get practice on what I've learned inside the classroom. I gained valuable technology experience through a summer internship at Cigna as a cybersecurity analyst. And this past summer, I interned at Lockheed Martin as a software engineer on the Slack product team. I got both positions through networking events. I got an internship with Cigna through the Grace Hopper Conference, and the Lockheed Martin internship was through an on-site hiring event. For a while, I was considering going straight into grad school right after getting my degree, but I really enjoyed working in the field, so I thought I'd take a break from school and get some more industry experience before continuing my education. I'm happy to say that I'll be a software engineer at JP Morgan in their Texas office after graduation. My biggest piece of advice is to write down the 10 most important factors to you when choosing a college, whether it's campus location, campus culture, or diversity. And in comparison to the other options, see whether Temple University fits those requirements. I would also make a list of the good aspects about Temple, such as overall academic opportunities or the social environment. And hopefully this will provide you with a good description of what Temple University provides. Overall, Temple has an overwhelming amount of interesting courses and organizations than I could imagine. So there's no question that if you have a hobby or a desire, Temple will satisfy you. I wish you the best of luck when you make your college selection. Make use of all the opportunities open to you to learn about your colleges. Take advantage of all the virtual activities available and ask a lot of questions to better understand the choices and to ultimately help you reach a final decision. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Miriam. Next up, we have Sarah.
Hi, everyone. My name's Sarah. So I'm currently a senior applied math major. I'm from North Wales, Pennsylvania. It's like 45 minutes outside of Philly, if you guys know where that is. I currently live near Temple's main campus in my apartment. I live with my sisters and my best friend, so that's really nice. And even though being on Zoom doesn't really compare to speaking to you guys in person, I'm very happy to give you all a very warm welcome to Temple. Now, I just want to tell you all about my time here. I applied to Temple because I always loved Philly, and Temple being in the city was just like the perfect fit. It was also very close to home, as I said before, which was really important to me because my little sister was still in high school when I first came here, and I really wanted to be close to her. I also knew I wanted to be some kind of STEM major, and it helped that the College of Science and Technology is known for being excellent. But it was ultimately when I had toured that I finally realized that Temple was the place for me. I really love the campus. I love the people, the diversity. I love the energy surrounding it. It was just wonderful. So I came into Temple as an applied math major, which I ultimately stuck with. And I had decided on an applied math degree rather than a regular math degree because I wanted to do more like actual math instead of and like apply them to the real world rather than focusing on what math is, like focusing on more proofs, as the regular math major is more proof based. I chose this because I always loved math, shockingly, and knew I'd want to do something with math and computer science specifically. So I then added computer science minor to my degree because I realized I would want to do something in one of the fields, mainly bioinformatics, which is basically combining disciplines in math, computer science, and medicine. Speaking of medicine, I am also a pre-med student, which is kind of crazy. I've always wanted to ultimately be a doctor above everything else. And after taking math, comp sci, and pre-med prerequisite classes, I realized that I could actually combine everything into something even more interesting to me, which is where the bioinformatics comes in. I really, really hope and plan to be a doctor in research, focusing primarily on genetics with bioinformatics. I would not have realized all of this or even have known I could do this, honestly, without the help and the classes and the advice I received from Temple and all my wonderful professors. That's why if you aren't really sure what exactly you want to do, or if you have no idea at all, Temple is really an excellent place to find who you are and what you want, because there are so many cross-disciplinary majors and minors and certificates and research opportunities and so on that you can take and be a part of in order to find like exactly who you are and what you're passionate about, what you want to do. And here in the math department, I really love it because teachers really, really care. Every single one of my math professors have been nothing but kind, helpful, understanding. They all really just want you to learn the material and succeed in their class. For instance, I had Professor Mendoza for my advanced calculus class, and this was actually last semester. He actually helped me succeed in his class when he saw me struggling due to like all the trying times from COVID and everything. He realized I was having all these problems outside of the classroom, which was ultimately affecting my classwork. And he reached out to me to help. And he actually worked with me the entirety of winter break in order for me to understand the material and make sure I got a decent grade in the class. He truly went above and beyond what any teacher has ever done for me. And that was definitely the best memory I have of any one of my classes. He's great. I love that man. I'm also currently involved in research in Dr. Escalante's bioinformatics lab. Here we use computer operations to solve biological questions. So currently we're working on making a database for the anopheles, or mosquitoes is what's commonly known as, species with their genomic alignments comparatively to each other for academic purposes. We hope to have this database up and running by the end of this semester. And like I mentioned earlier, there are so many different areas of research that you can easily get involved in through the school, and my lab is just one of them. As I mentioned before, I would love to go on to medical school after graduation. I have a love for computers, math, and medicine, and I would really love to be a doctor with all of these disciplines. Again, as I have said before, I plan to take a year off after graduation, maybe 2. Working in a bioinformatics lab is the hope, while finishing my pre-med prerequisites as well and studying for the MCAT, of course. So if you guys are trying to decide whether or not to choose Temple, I would say definitely come visit the campus in person. I feel like if you're on the edge of a decision with colleges, that seeing the college and really getting a feel of it helps make that decision. And not to be biased, but Temple honestly has a pretty great campus. I really love it. And just as a piece of advice, always remember that you make your own timeline. School is not about getting to the finish line before everyone else. It's about being the most successful version of yourself. Take your time, pick a major that you are actually passionate about, invest in yourself, put yourself, your wants, your needs before what anyone else thinks or does. It doesn't matter if someone is technically ahead of you, just focus on doing you. I think a lot of people don't know this or lose sight of this when they start college, but just remember to do what you love, because that is what's important overall.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have Tatiana.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Tatiana. I graduated from Temple I graduated from Temple twice. I did the 4+1 program. So I graduated with my bachelor's in computer science in May of 2019. And then the following year, well, actually last year, with my master's in computer science. So I'm currently a security and privacy consultant at Protivity, which it's kind of like strange because in the very beginning, I had always thought that I would end up as a developer. So going back to the beginning, Temple was among my list of colleges that I wanted to go to. It was not a first choice, but when I did visit, I could see myself there. It was really weird, like I went to different buildings and I can just see myself in those classes. I saw myself like with a group of future college friends going to different food trucks and kind of enjoying time there, and there was just a lot that I saw in Temple. And in the end, I did choose Temple for a variety of reasons. One being that I did, get that city feel, but I also got that college campus feel. There was a lot of activity going on, a lot of different choices of food. I was a huge fan of the food trucks, as are many Temple students here. And I just loved how beautiful the campus was. And it was also very close to home. So I commuted my entire time. For me, it was a big decision to go to a college for, the financial package and knowing that I can afford to go because with my family being unable to financially support me going to college, that responsibility mostly fell onto me. And so I did my best to kind of study during high school and to do well on the SATs to get scholarships. And I was like the kind to apply to scholarships all the time. So financial was like a big thing. And thankfully, Temple did provide a really good financial aid package. And so with that, and then with scholarships that I applied to, and then like on-campus jobs that I had, it proved to be a very comfortable experience. I was happy and I was very blessed that that wasn't something that I really had to worry about. So there was that. And I overall really loved my Temple experience. Other than that, I made a lot of friends that I still talk to now. I got my job because of Temple. I decided the career I wanted to get into because of Temple. And I loved all of the professors that I had classes with, and it was just a really enjoyable experience. So in terms of why I decided on computer science, I wanted to get into STEM, but I thought that medicine, engineering were really hard, and I didn't know if I was super interested in getting into like mathematics. And so I thought, well, I'll get into computer science, and if I don't like it, then I can switch into something else. So I came in as a computer science major. I didn't have any previous background in programming. I was part of like one club, but it was more of like enthusiasts. It wasn't like we really learned how to program. So I really came in kind of very fresh, very inexperienced, but very open to pursuing computer science. And as I said, I had thought that I was going to end up as some sort of like software engineer or software developer. I kind of just thought if you went for computer science, that's just kind of the career that you're going to end up in, which will tie into my advice. Like, you can do a whole lot with your degree. It isn't always just what you think the career path is. And depending on how you mold and shape your experience at Temple, you can get into the career that you would want and the career you end up loving. So in Temple, I tried to check out all the different programs that were offered, and one in particular was a certificate in computer security and digital forensics, which was only 3 classes at the time. And I decided to go for it because I thought, why not? You know, I'll give myself some exposure to cybersecurity and how that field is like, and it can offer me more options in terms of what kind of career I wanted to get into, right? So I attended the job fair every year. Even as a freshman, I attended those speed networking events that are like a couple of days before the job fair, even as a freshman, which is another thing that I'd also advise, just because, excuse me, a lot of the same people come back year after year, and sometimes you'll even see some Temple alum, such as myself. Now I come back as you know, someone who represents my company, you know, and you can just kind of see how you develop that relationship with you know, different employers when you go, and maybe even some Temple alum. So then when it comes time for you to apply to jobs, then it can be a little less intimidating, because a lot of this, you've seen a lot of the same people, right? And so that's what I kind of did. I tried to just be very forward thinking. Even as a freshman, I thought about, okay, where am I going to be afterwards? But as I said, I continued to pursue that certificate, and I found it to be really interesting. And I thought, well, can I still get into this without specifically being a cybersecurity major? You know, like I had the programming background, so I didn't know if that could just be used as kind of a foundation with which to pivot myself into this position. But I did a couple of other things too. So I did do research as part of what was called SSP, so the Science Scholars Program. I was admitted my sophomore year. I actually wasn't admitted freshman year, but I readmitted the following year and was accepted. And so I started doing research in a machine learning lab with a very wonderful professor named Dr. Jamie Payton. And I didn't know anything about machine learning. I had this habit of getting into things that I didn't really know what I was expecting. So she was very helpful in helping me to kind of get situated. She advised me to take like this online course on getting familiar with machine learning and all that, so that I'd be able to kind of understand the context behind what I was doing. And at the time, I was creating Python scripts to analyze this data that was collected in a previous iteration of the study, because it was kind of an ongoing project, and I joined somewhat in the middle of it. And so I did learn a lot from that experience. the research was conducted over the summer. And then, excuse me, that following fall, I had the opportunity to present at the URP symposium. And I did get honorable mention, which is so fun. It's not technically like top 3, but I just felt like it was such an honor, and it did teach me a lot of skills that you don't necessarily learn in the classroom, which is, I think, is great, because at Temple, they try to, and, especially within the computer science or the College of Science Technology, they really try to make you a well-rounded person. So not just getting all the technical skills in, but also the soft skills, right? So you do research on something and you're passionate about it. Now you have to explain it to a bunch of other professors across different disciplines in a way that they will understand, right? And you have to be able to explain what you did in your research, explain why it's important, and why people should care about it, and what your next steps were. So that was a very fun experience. It kind of got me out of my comfort zone. It got me to be a little less shy. And I consider myself an introvert. And so just knowing that, like, 2015 me knows that right now I'm speaking to you now about my experience, it's a huge achievement for me. So there was that. I did do like a couple of different things to kind of help me decide what I wanted to get into. And I really did like the machine learning experience that I had working in that lab. And I continue to do research with Dr. Payton, even into my graduate school career. So it did look a little different as the years progressed, what I was doing, right? Because I was gaining more experience and kind of more technical knowledge. So I was able to tackle kind of higher complexity projects. But I will say that it definitely did help me, even though I am in a career in cybersecurity right now. It did help me to kind of have that foundational knowledge, right? And you'd be surprised at what kind of skills you can bring to the table, no matter the career you end up in. So my job is currently participating in a hackathon, and they're actually like bridging the gap between cybersecurity and machine learning in the project that they're implementing. So they knew that I had that machine learning background. And so I was able to come in and kind of give them some guidance on some next steps that they could do, which, you think, I'm gonna do this now, I'm probably never gonna use it again. And then you use it again and you're like, huh, that's pretty interesting. And so that's kind of another advice that I would give. If you're interested about something, check it out. You never know where it might lead you. So kind of in terms of other things that I was involved in, I was part of ACM, I was part of ACMW, and I was part of helping to found the STARS Computing Core program, which was something that Dr. Payton is like one of the directors on the national level, and she kind of wanted some assistance in getting the Temple chapter up. So Gabriella Farsi is the current president, and I kind of helped to get like the program going, which was a really interesting experience too, because not only can you get yourself involved in things that you're interested in, but if you see something that you're passionate about, but it's not currently present, then there's a lot of support to kind of help get you off the ground, right? And so,
Thank you. Sorry, Tatiana, we just want to make sure we can hear from Eric. Thanks so much. It's been great to see you.
thanks.
Thank you. Next up, we have Eric.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eric Miller. So I graduated in 2019 as well with a degree in math and physics. The math and physics was pretty important to me since physics uses a lot of math. It was good to get exposure from a theoretical side and also from an application perspective of math. So, kind of what everyone else has been talking about, having different career tracks and different program tracks. That's definitely one thing that I always recommend to people is having an opportunity to go out and try new things and try to learn as much as possible, because you're only there for 4 years, hopefully not more, and so you want to try and squeeze in as much as you can. So after I graduated in 2019, I went on, and currently I'm at Lockheed Martin as an integration and test engineer. So doing a lot of in the lab testing, making sure that things are working, and trying to apply my knowledge to do data analysis and, make sure that providing good quality products to customers. So one of the biggest things that I did at Temple was I was pretty actively involved in the physics department. As you can see there, those last 3 bullets. I took advantage of the honors program and got some funding to do a short little research project with one of the professors in the physics department that kind of combines math and physics and my passion for both of those things. And that was really important for, I think, my career development, and then just my time at Temple, teaching me that not everything you learn in a classroom is necessarily going to apply exactly how you think it would to the real world. A lot of times, even when you're doing research out of school, you're on the forefront of technology. You're obviously doing things that some people have never done before or have never thought of certain ways. So you can't just go, on Google and look up the answers and stuff. You kind of have to rely on your previous knowledge and take those steps by yourself or, with your advisor. So research and taking those internships throughout your time at Temple is really important to not just learn these cookie cutter examples that you would see on a homework assignment or something, but to really dive into the material and get a really deep understanding of things. You'll definitely come out a better student, a better person, and just more knowledgeable about a lot of topics. Like I said, I was pretty active. I worked in the physics labs, helping students with their Physics 1, Physics 2 labs, doing maintenance and helping taking care of all the equipment and stuff. I was the ombudsman person, so I was a student advocate for students. So helping students with academic issues or academic disagreements with professors. I was sort of the student advocate who kind of helped work through those issues and try to help everyone come out on the better side. And then I was also pretty active in the physics club. So we have a physics club at Temple that meets weekly and does all different sorts of projects. I remember my first couple of years, we went down to the Philly Science Carnival down at Penn's Landing. I did some physics demonstrations for that. And then, like I said, weekly meetings with, sometimes pizza, and sometimes faculty members will come and talk and give presentations on their current research and, maybe trying to recruit students to come and do research with them. Because professors are always looking for young students to come and help and learn and be some sort of asset to their program. And again, doing that research really opens your eyes to the real world application of what you're learning in a classroom. You're not, like I said, you're not just doing pre-made problems, but you're on the forefront and trying to develop new technology and learn some new things and maybe even teach your professors something or help them discover something. So overall, I always recommend doing research and getting actively involved in as many things as you can. It definitely prepared me pretty well for going into Lockheed Martin, where you can't just Google, you can't just look up in a textbook some of these things. You have to know how to develop your own methods and doing your own research, and you can't just, you have to know who to ask and how to ask and where to find information. It's not just given to you. So doing a variety of activities and going outside your comfort zone at Temple is something that's really easy to do, and something that I always encourage people to do to get that experience. So I would definitely recommend Temple, and take advantage of all those opportunities.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Eric. Good to see you. Last, I just want to make sure we introduce our faculty that are here to answer any questions you may have. I'll let you each introduce yourself briefly in the interest of time. So we'll start with John.
Hi, I'm John Fiore. I've been teaching in the computer science department for about 20 years. I'm the director of undergraduate programs in CIS, and I hope to get a chance to talk to a lot of you.
Thanks, John. Meredith?
Hi, I'm Meredith Haig. I teach in the math department. I've been at Temple in the math department for about 5 years now. But I also have experience taking classes at Temple. I did post-bac classes, and then also my PhD is actually from Temple. And I work primarily with our teacher educator program. So our students who want to be secondary math teachers, I work primarily with them, and then also with our introductory classes, calculus and all of that.
Great, thank you. And finally, Jim.
Hi, my name is Jim Napolitano. I'm professor of physics, also currently department chair. My research field is nuclear physics, and I like to teach all sorts of interesting things and would love to meet some of you guys in the fall.
Great. So now we'll open it up to a Q&A. So anyone that has any questions, we'll be happy to answer those. You can either raise your hand using the reactions, or you can just put your question in the chat and we will be happy to answer it. John, can you tell us a little bit about the difference between computer science and information science and technology?
Sure. I would say, well, before I say how they're different, let me say how they're the same. Students in both programs take a lot of the same classes. In fact, the intro classes are exactly the same. They're eligible to take a lot of the same electives. When they graduate, they all apply for the same kinds of jobs. Where they're different, I'd say, is really just a matter of emphasis. In the courses that are required. So I'd say IS&T majors tend to have more courses that are centered around writing software that runs on the internet. CS majors, they have more courses that are, I mean, they do all the same things, but I'd say there's more analytical approach to some of the topics. There's more math involved. And again, maybe I'm painting with a bit of a broad brush. You can write web-based software in your classes. If you're a CS major, you do learn a little bit of math if you're an IS&T major. And I'd say the decision about whether to go CS or IS&T, this isn't something that should stress anybody out. I think apply for either one, start out with either one, and you'll figure out what you like, and then you'll gravitate to whatever field you want. And Tom is director of advising. He could tell you that it's not a painful switch, especially if you do it within the first couple of years. Probably more than you were looking for. Maybe I should stop talking.
No, that's great. Thanks, John. Meredith, could you address the math resources? So some students might come in and feel as though math is going to be overwhelming, and math is so critical to all the majors in our college. What resources are available to help students?
Absolutely. So first of all, I'm just so excited to have heard Sarah's testimony about Dr. Mendoza, who obviously is a great teacher and a great person also. And I think that we have some really warm and caring faculty, which always helps. But we absolutely have, so in addition to the STEM tutoring that is available across departments, we also have math specific tutoring, students who are math majors. And that's available, if I'm remembering correctly, 5 days a week at a variety, a broad range of times. And then there are also targeted supports for our introductory classes. So there are what's called PASS sessions, peer assisted study sessions, if I'm remembering it correctly. And those are run by undergraduates who've been successful in the courses. And then there's also, for some of the classes, what we call study halls that are run by some of our graduate students. So there's really an amazing wealth of resources for our students who you just want a little bit more time, need someone else to talk to about the problems. And then, of course, obviously office hours. I think probably the other faculty here will echo me in saying that sometimes office hours are underutilized, and so students should know that when the faculty announce their office hours, you should use them and go and meet them. And even if you don't have a very specific question, actually, one of the pieces of advice that one of my former students always gives people is, go to office hours and see what the other kids ask, because they probably have a really good question that you didn't even realize you had until they asked it. So yeah, there really are a tremendous number of resources. You just gotta, and that means you can also test things out and say, okay, well, I tried the past sessions and I just didn't click with that person, but then I went to the math tutoring center and I really found a tutor I liked there, so I'm gonna keep going back to that.
Great, thanks so much. I'm gonna, not to put you on the spot, Jim, but I've heard you talk so organized fashion response to why a student might want to come to Temple University and the College of Science and Technology in particular.
Okay, great. And please, students out there, ask questions. Love to react to what's on your mind. But so I came to Temple 7 years ago, and the reason I did was because my client, Dean Klein, who addressed you guys earlier, convinced me that Temple was on the rise as a strong research university, in particular in our College of Science and Technology. That was his sales pitch to me, and I said, great, and I came, and he was absolutely right. In fact, a year or two after my arriving, Temple became a so-called Carnegie R1 highest research activity university. Now, my research is in the physics department, but we have research all through the different departments and all of the faculty that'll be teaching your courses. And I like to say this is important for you for three reasons. One is, as the dean said, you will have the opportunity to do research, and you heard about this from the students and alumni, and it'll give you an exposure to things that are outside the classroom, much larger than the sort of thing you would just get in the classroom experience. Secondly, it means that the people who are teaching your classes, when they're actively involved in research, they're teaching you material from the perspective of someone who's very current in the field. So if I'm teaching students about orbits and so forth in the solar system, I can generalize that and explain to them why that gives us evidence for dark matter in the universe. And it's a direct connection. It's something that I know something about, and it's a lot of fun to bring that current topic into class. And the third reason that research is important is because the faculty have connections with researchers at other universities, at national laboratories, and industry. It gives us the opportunity to make those kinds of connections, bring people to campus who you might be interested in talking to about careers or life after college. That networking is really an integral part of what we end up doing. So this is what you get by coming to a large comprehensive research university like Temple. And it was a great experience for me, and I think it'd be great for you too.
Thanks, Jim. Just a reminder, if you want to ask a question, you can just use the reactions at the bottom of your screen, and you can raise your hand, or you can type in a question in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer it for you. Miriam, can you tell us about your Grace Hopper experience?
Yes. So attending STEM-related conferences was one of the highlights of my time here at Temple. So in 2018, I attended the Grace Hopper conference. It was held in Houston, Texas. It's one of the largest women technology conferences in the world. And I learned about it through ACMW. I really wanted to take advantage of the chance to be in a position where I'm celebrated for being myself. So there was a group of Temple students and faculty who went on the trip. It was a free trip because I applied to the scholarship through Anita Borg. So they paid for my ticket, my hotel, and they gave me a Visa gift card to spend on food. But there are workshops, panels, different activities that you can be a part of at the conference. I think there were over 20,000 people at the conference in this huge technology center. But Grace Hopper is really known for their career fairs, and there are about 2,000-3,000 companies there where you can find an internship or a job. You can network with recruiters and employees, and they also had a space for interview booths, so you can have an interview there. And that's kind of what happened to me with my Cigna internship. I interviewed with many companies, including Cigna, and the day after my interview, I got an email saying that they would like me to intern there. So after leaving the conference, I gained very valuable information and contacts that I shared with my peers. And as a member of the ACMW, I participated in a panel discussion about my experience at the conference. And I really just wanted to encourage freshmen in the room to explore the possibilities of technology, regardless of what people tell them they can or shouldn't do. So I would encourage any student to apply for the scholarship.
Great, thanks so much. Lily?
Hi, yeah. So I have no idea what I want to do with my life. I like math. If I were to go into data science, that would be pretty cool. So this question is more towards the students, but was there an epiphany moment or something that you guys all had that was just this is the major of what I kind of want to do for the rest of my life? Or what steps did you kind of take to get there?
Hi, Lily. So like I was saying, before, a lot of people go into college literally not knowing anything of what they want to do. For me, it wasn't so much of an epiphany. It was just oh, I like doing math, but let's see where it goes. And as I went through it and just kind of took more classes, talked to advisors, that's when I was just oh, this is what I'm interested in. And that's how I kind of altered my major to be math with a computer science minor. It wasn't so much an epiphany, honestly. And if I'm being completely honest, I'm just I still am what am I doing with my life? I love my major, but I'm just I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, I think just take it day by day. I definitely don't stress. We're all so young. We don't really know what we're doing. We're all learning as we go. That's definitely something that I wish I could tell my freshman self is just don't worry. You don't know what you want to do, and that's fine. You will figure it out. You just have to put the effort in, put the energy into yourself, and listen to your teachers, listen to your advisors, and listen to yourself, because you'll know what you like. You know what I mean? But it might not be some huge epiphany, but it's definitely a process.
I would wondering, John, if you could just talk a little bit about data science, since Lily asked about that. But what is data science?
Yeah, good question. So previously, if you're a scientist and you've got an idea, you'd have to have an idea about something new. And you take your hypothesis, you take your idea, and then you go to look to see if the data supports it. One of the really cool things in data science is you have a collection of data, and you just set the computer loose on the data and let the computer figure out stuff about the data. Our data science students end up taking classes in math. They take some programming classes. And depending on which flavor of data science you take at Temple, you learn a little bit of biology, you learn a little bit of chemistry, you learn a little bit of physics. It's really pretty much what you want. And I can't emphasize enough what Sarah said. You'll find out what you like, and you'll take classes in that area. And in our data science programs, it's pretty easy to do that, because there's such a wide variety of courses that you can use to fulfill the degree requirements.
Great. Thanks, John.
If I can,
Yep, sure.
just add one thing. I first of all, I love that Sarah said basically exactly what I always say to students: just try what you think you'll like, take it one day at a time, and do your best. But I also just want to throw out there to any of the students who are listening to these current students and alumni and thinking, I'll never be like them. I mean, I have to tell you that as a faculty member at Temple, listening to these students really impresses me and has me feeling sort of almost inadequate. And so if you are right now thinking, well, these students aren't like normal people. I'm never going to be able to do the kinds of amazing things these people are doing. They didn't do it all in one day, right? They started, and the first year they tried this, and maybe they liked that and they didn't like that, and they changed their path, and they did exactly what Sarah said. And they obviously, they are smart and motivated and amazing people, but they're not superhuman. They took it one day at a time. And because they worked hard and because they found things they were interested in, they've been incredibly successful. But I just don't want anyone to feel like they could never meet these expectations, because you can. It's just one day at a time.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to ask any questions of either our faculty or our graduates or our current students? We'll be happy to stay on after and answer any individual questions you may have. There's one other question. I'm wondering, Eric, you mentioned being an honor student. Could you just talk a little bit about your honor student experience in more detail?
Yeah, so one of the biggest differences between the non-honors and the honors track is you have to take a certain level of courses that are, or a certain number of courses that are considered an honors level. And this usually means that there's some extra component, or it maybe goes into a topic, or maybe there's a different grading scheme or something like that. So the class is a little bit different. It's usually intended to be a little bit more faster paced, or just cover a different amount of material, or just different material in general, to give you that enhanced experience. So in the math and physics courses, it's kind of difficult to find those, especially as you get up into quantum mechanics. You know, when there's only 10 students taking quantum mechanics, you can't really offer an honors session for only like a couple students. So part of that would include what they call contracting an honors course. So you would take, say, your quantum mechanics course, which isn't an honors course, and then you would maybe work with your professor to do, which was pretty cool that I did a couple times, a couple research, or maybe study an extra topic on your own, or something like that. So you get that extra component of the course, and you learn a little bit more than you are, or your fellow students are doing in that course. But so you'll take, say, honors calculus, and that'll maybe cover a couple extra topics, or something like that. And then as you get up into your higher curriculum, and maybe there aren't as many honors courses in, say, math or physics, you would then do what's called that contracting process. But then you can also take in other departments those honors courses as well, to get maybe some more enrichment, or maybe explore other fields. So the best part of that is having, your own honors advisor. So not only do you have a CST advisement, but you also have dedicated honors advising staff that helps you, just like the CST advisement office does, but also helping you guide you through that honors program as well. Also, my research, you get, I'm not sure if it's still exactly the same, but I think I was given a certain amount for a stipend to do a summer research project, which is pretty cool. So CST has their own research program. I did mine through the honors program, but definitely got similar results in terms of experience and enjoying that.
Great. Thanks so much, Eric. I just want to be respectful of everyone's time. We will, like I said, we'll stay on and answer any questions you might have. There's some other sessions going on today. You can follow that link to go to those sessions. We have some other specific events later next week. The math meet and greet is going to be on March 16th. We have a data science Q&A on March 18th. And if you have any questions at all, please reach out to Danielle London, and she'll be happy to answer your questions. With that, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been great chatting with you, and please let us know if you have any questions to help you make sure that Temple's the right fit for you. Thank you.